Good morning. Welcome to my Vloggins. In this vlog, I'm going to talk about failure. Yes, because as an artist, we're all going to be dealing with failure, especially artists that are working on their own personal projects on top of, doing work for their day job. Most people I know who are artists or art students or like aspiring to do art are really in love with the process and set themselves like some pretty high and lofty goals. And one of the things that is going to happen when you set high and lofty goals is, guess what? On your daily tasks, you're likely to fail. So let's talk about it. First, let me just explain who I am. I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is my Vloggins, and this is the vlog that I tend to record on my way to work, where I work as a full-time art director. I have for about close to 7 years, and I like doing vlogs. I like creating content on YouTube, and I find myself taxed a lot because I commute for close to like 3 hours a day. And that pulls away any free time to do anything other than just like the task of my personal projects and my work, and that's about it, and then hanging out with my family. So I've decided to kind of make this commute be a little more fun by creating content and talking about art and participating in creating vlogs, which is something I really enjoy doing. Woo! And I also get hit by really terrible allergies, so I might have to take allergy medicine, which I have, I believe. Yes, good pass, Josh. I was like feeling around in my pockets for my allergy medicine, and there it is. Alright, so let's talk about failure. So I just wanted to basically publicly own the fact that yesterday I failed. I was heading home from work. I had high and lofty goals. I thought I would get a panel done. I thought that I would get started on a freelance project that I talked about yesterday. That's like a paper craft illustration. An illustration for a paper craft for a client that I really like. And I even thought that maybe I'd get more done. I had all these high and lofty ambitions, and I also needed to do Bible study with the group of people that I do Bible study with. And when I got home, like life stuff came up. I have really old shoes. I barely ever buy myself clothes or new shoes, and it was just time. It was time to get some new shoes. So I ordered some new shoes. That took twice as long as I thought it would. Then I read to my kid because I think it's really important to spend time with my son because I don't get to see him during the day. And also, there's a bunch of psychological research for parents and kids, and one of the things that dictates more than anything the future success of your kid is whether your kid reads books or is read to at night. And so I feel like that's a good thing to do. It's a way for us to bond, and it helps his growth and maturity, and it helps him be smarter. The other reason I read to him books at night is he's born into a book nerd family. Like, I'm a graphic novel guy. My wife makes kids books. We love books. We probably own way too many books. And so we want him to be able to share and enjoy the love we have of literature as well. Forgive me for a second while I take this allergy medicine, which is a trick when you're commuting. Wasn't so bad. Was not so bad. You guys got through it. I got through it. We're good. All right. So anyhow, I I was mentioning yesterday that I had only had like 4 hours of sleep, so my thought was like, oh, I'll just take a nap, because I do power naps quite often. But I had missed my window for a nap, because that window usually happens when I get home after dinner, when Ben does his bath. That's usually like, if I have any window to take a little power nap, to try to kind of wake up, power through, and have a late night, that's my window. I missed that beautiful little window, and because of that, I wasn't able to work on comics yesterday. I wasn't able to work on music. I wasn't able to work on freelance. I just abjectly, outside of my day job where I work and I do design and art and illustration like all day, but on my own personal projects, I failed, and that sucks. So I am waking up today and I'm doing this vlog, and I wanted to admit to that failure and talk about it, because I think it's something you have to be comfortable with when you're pursuing comics or graphic design or illustration, and especially when you're pursuing your own projects. Also, I failed too on doing my workout, which I try to do every other day, and yesterday was one of those other days. So those are all things that I like just abjectly failed in. What I did succeed at was like, I actually got some sleep and I feel refreshed, and part of why I even chose to sleep, and this isn't a justification, but part of why I even chose to sleep through the whole night was that some change stuff happened at my work. I have to head in a little earlier, and I knew today was going to be a pretty tough day at my day job, because work is piled up and some stuff happened, and so yeah, I felt like I need to be prepared for this, and that's one of those things that I deal with, like making decisions, like even a decision like I'm gonna sleep tonight instead is a decision, and part of how I make a decision like that is I try to think of like the hierarchy of what my priorities are as a person, and my priority list, my personal priority list, is God, my wife, my family, and then my immediate family after that, and then it's basically work, although friends come before that, but like really good friends, and then work, and my work is really important. My day job, by work I mean like whatever I'm doing to support that upper tier of priorities is highest priority, and then beyond that, it's like personal projects, which are like right up there. Graphic novels are like right under being able to feed my kid. Feeding my kid is a higher priority, but right under that is graphic novels, and then like way below that is like music, which is still a high priority, but it's not like one of those top 5 priorities. Alright, so basically I just saw a conflict between one of my lower priorities and higher priorities, and I chose the higher priority because I just absolutely have to be able to feed my kid. So anyhow, but I did want to talk about failure, because it's important to kind of embrace, accept, own, and understand that it's part of the process. I will intentionally beat myself up a little bit, not physically or whatever, but mentally, and it's intentional the way I'm doing that. Like today, I'm like, you didn't get the panel done, and that's not acceptable for tonight. Like tonight, I have to get a panel done. The reason I do that is it's a psychological trick to keep me making progress towards a really ambitious, hard to do project like a full graphic novel, which I'm going to try to do a second one very soon. I'm in the thick of it, and if it's ever going to get done, I'm going to need to make daily progress on it, to carve away at it, to prioritize it, to make time for it where there isn't time. Like, that's how anything gets done. So, in order to have a big goal like that, like let's say your goal is to make an animated film, you better be carving at that on it, especially for a personal project. On a daily basis, you're going to need to be carving and spending a little bit of time at it, because otherwise, like if you're not dedicated enough to have the self-discipline to do it when you don't have like money attached or a deal attached, it's going to likely collapse when you have money or a deal attached to it because you haven't built those self-discipline habits. Similarly with like exercise too, it's like if you want to be healthy or awake or like less depressed or anything like that, you're going to need to exercise. And if you're going to exercise, you're going to need to maintain it on a consistent basis and set daily goals, like, or every other day goals, and be consistent. And if you miss those times, you will necessarily have to beat yourself up just a little bit for it. However, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail at some point, at some time, on your personal projects, on your daily goal, on your carving away stuff. And that is part of the process as well, and you can learn things from that process, like how do I need to reorganize my life so that I fail less on getting that done? How do I need to mentally gear myself for this? What can I learn from this experience so that I don't repeat it, so that this doesn't become every day? I hope that kind of makes sense. So for me, it's like I take it pretty seriously that yesterday I missed doing a panel. I needed to do that panel. I'm taking it pretty seriously that I missed the ability to carve a little bit away from the freelance work that I have due. But I've learned from it, and part of it is I overdid it the night before that by staying up till 4 a.m, finishing a song and doing an extra panel. So in a weird way, it's like because I got ahead and I got overly ambitious, it kind of balanced itself out. Like I'm on track to where I need to be. But does that mean I can't push the line a little bit? No. It definitely means I can push the line. It just means don't push it that far the day before so that you can consistently keep this up daily. Because this isn't like a sprint, it's a marathon. And if I treat it like a sprint, I'm going to get the results of a sprint. The results of doing a sprint are like a very short-term gain. And yes, it works for short-term wins. But if you're trying to win a marathon with a sprint, you're going to fail. And you're going to fail hard. So that's what I learned from it. And so I feel like that was a successful failure. Like I have learned from failing yesterday. Now, it might seem silly if a lot of people are watching this and maybe they struggle with having a daily art habit to call yet like one day out of the week of not working on it a failure. But I take it pretty seriously in the sense of I just know what it takes to do what I do. I am not the fastest artist. I'm not the fastest graphic novelist. My first graphic novel took me over 5 years, about 5 years, to come to fruition and be finalized and finished. And part of why it took that long was because every day I would come home and I would carve a little bit of time for that book. And if I missed a day, I would try to revise my behavior so that I could create time for myself to actually carve at that book. Had I not done that, I wouldn't have a book. And so that's the thing, is like, for me, I really wanted the book. I visualized seeing it. I visualized seeing it with a publisher. I still hope to see it sell really well, to see it get reviews. I haven't really had a lot of success getting it reviewed. I still would like to push it at conventions. I still need to submit for certain awards. But overall, that's how I got it done. And so part of why I take it seriously, trying to do it daily, and I do give myself a little grief, or missing that mark yesterday is because I just know what I'm getting into. And I'm trying to dream big with it. So yeah, so that's it. That's what's on my mind. I would like to know, if you guys want to talk about it, like, what's your latest failure? And then I have a question, which is, if you haven't failed recently, are you trying? That's another question. Because a lot of people, maybe they aren't having failures, but sometimes not having failures can actually be a really big indicator that maybe you aren't trying big enough. Like, you need to fail. That's part of success, and that's part of achieving your goals. And I would really throw that out there, that, hey, have you failed recently? So that's my question. Have you failed recently at something? Are you allowing that failure to be your definition? Like, or are you redefining that failure and learning from it and embracing it and kind of moving on to, like, the lessons that you can learn from it, that you can put forwards to making your own creative goals come to fruition? Anyhow, I know it's a nerdy thing, and to some people it might seem like a very huge failure. To others it may not. But I really encourage you guys, and I try to also remind myself that, like, there's two ways you can deal with failure. One is completely self-defeating, which is like you get knocked out in a ring in a fight and you don't get back up, right? I mean, that's the ultimately, and keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with not getting back up in a fight. Like, if you're a professional fighter, you know what? You're going to get knocked out sometimes. But if you still have the will and the strength to get up, and you choose to lay down because you got knocked down, that doesn't benefit anyone, even you. And actually, it can lead to a worse failure, right? So I think as long as you're learning from it, you're like, okay, I took a hit from this angle. Next time I need to have my guard up in whatever. I don't fight, so and I don't really watch fighting, so I'm imagining that's how fighters get good. It's like they're like, oh wow, that guy caught me by surprise with like a left hook. I gotta guard my left a little bit more in that specific scenario in the future, so I'm not vulnerable to that kind of attack. And then they adapt and learn and grow. But you're never going to get good at it without getting in the ring, and you're never going to get good at it without actually failing, like getting knocked out or learning by losing. And so yeah, that's my encouragement today. But my big question is, like, what's your latest creative failure? How have you dealt with it? What have you learned from it? And what are you going to do moving forward with that beautiful failure? And number two, if you're not failing, are you trying hard enough to even allow yourself failure? Or are you so afraid of failure that you're not really pushing the limit or trying? And number three would be, or are you viewing failure as something that's unusual and terrible and kind of like beating yourself up over it? Because that's useless to you and to the failure. Like, failure is meant as a learning experience. Failure is meant to be something that is part of the process of succeeding. And it doesn't always mean you're going to succeed, but if you want to succeed at anything, you're going to have to embrace that failure is a little bit of a part of it. And I know I'm talking about tropes and stuff like that, but like for me, these are things that are really important for me to remind myself of, so that I can learn, adapt, and do better. So that's my hope for today. I am really stuck in traffic, which is kind of sad, but yeah, that's my hope for today, is that I can learn from my failure, to get my comics done yesterday and apply it today and do better. So yeah, that'll basically do it for my my daily vlogs, but vloggins, and You know, I might add more to this after, but I always want to close out just in case I don't. Like maybe after work, Josh is more tired and has less content or things to talk about. If this is the last of the vlog, I just want to say I appreciate every one of you who's watched this thing. I hope you're having a successful creative day. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments section on the topic of failure, and yeah, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit that bell, you know, and also go buy 2 stories if you haven't yet. If you've been on the fence and you're like, yeah, I don't know, I just like, trust me, buy it. You won't regret it, unless like that's interfering with those top 4 priorities for you. Like, let's say it's a choice between feeding your family, buying my comic. Feed your family. Like, my comic's not that important. But, you know, if you have some disposable income, you're gonna buy a couple cups of coffee and you choose to buy my comic instead, that goes to support indie creators. It helps me continue going as a cartoonist, and it helps me get closer to my vision for the comic, which is success, and that's about it. So, all right, I will see you guys on another Vloggins, and I appreciate you all, and goodbye.